Podcast, and we are doing the episode that I wasn't too sure was going to get done before the World Cup playoffs, but we are definitely getting it done before the World Cup playoffs. As you guys know, way back at the Starbar trip, in fact it was the day we were flying out to be up this, we got the news that the Takeover Tour game in Detroit was going to be broadcast on national telly, and that was absolutely brilliant because we did a quick episode on that, our thoughts on that. Literally got it published on the day of the Takeover Tour game happening, and then during the trip, I can't remember when it was. I'm not sure if it happened when we were in Minneapolis or when we were in Denver, but we got even bigger news, and I do mean bigger news, which is really exciting, and that is this year's World Cup finals are going to be also broadcast on national television, and I am so excited for this. I'm going to tell you why in a moment, but I just want to get the article up first, and then we'll go from there, okay? So just give me a chance to do that. Obviously, I'm really excited about this. The first result that comes up. Brilliant, excellent. Isn't it always easy when you do Google search and you look for the first result? Excellent. Right, I've got it here. Let's go for it, and we'll do that, and then we'll give my thoughts. It's going to be me this time. I think Lady did join us for the one about the Takeover Tour game one, but I think we were doing some other stuff as well. It's going to be me today, okay? So bear in mind. Yeah, me and my still jet lag stuff. Getting all of those on standby. Okay, so PWHL and Split Sports team up to bring World Cup finals to a national US broadcast for the first time. So, and in another milestone move for women's professional sports, Scripps Sports and the PWHL will bring the World Cup Finals 2026, which will be presented by Scotiabank, to national linear television for the very first time in the United States. Official game dates will be announced once the final teams are confirmed, with the championship series scheduled for May. Because, as you guys know, so this news dropped mid-March, nowhere near end of the regular season. I'm recording this in the beginning of April, which is a few weeks to go until we start those World Cup playoffs. So, and of course, it will depend on how the series go, because obviously, in year one, we got the confirmation of those dates during Game 5 of Toronto v Minnesota, which, as you will remember, really, for those of you who listened back in season 1, that really pissed Pluto off, because it was during a breaking play. The dates were on the screen, and Pluto got really pissed off about it, mainly because it wasn't that long of a turnaround between Game 5 of Varsity against TO and then Game 1 of the World Cup Finals. That would have worked in TO's favour if TO had got the job done, but of course we all know what happened there. But yeah, of course then last year, the schedule got dropped not long after Ottawa sealed the deal in their bar against Montreal. We literally was like, we got the game result, and a few hours later it was like, oh, the net! So, it's not really a set schedule when those championship dates come out, but just when they do come out, just brace yourself for it. Especially if you live in the States, because you'll be watching it on linear telly. So, live coverage of the PHL finals will be available to fans in the United States through ION, accessible over the air via pay TV connected TV and free streaming platforms, with distribution reaching 126 million US households. Ion will deliver the league's world-class talent and thrilling matchups for one of the largest American audiences in women's hockey history. Whilst the final regular season standings are confirmed, the PHL World Cup playoffs will feature 2 best-of-5 semi-finals, with the winners advancing to compete for the World Cup in the finals, which are also best-of-5. The Minnesota Frost will look to three-peat as the defending back-to-back World Cup champions. Swiss President and CEO Adam Simpson said the partnership with PHL underscores Swift's existing commitment to women's sports through its franchise rights for the Women's National Basketball Association, that's the WNBA, who are about to get underway. I think they're having an expansion draft, I think, soon, so that season's not too far from getting started. For those of you involved with that. And also the National Women's Soccer League, that's the WNSL, if I pronounced that correctly. NWSL, oh god, acronyms. Coming off the electric energy of the Winter Olympics, where we watched TSA catch a gold in an unforgettable overtime thriller, Americans are hungry for more world-class women's hockey. Fans shouldn't have to wait another 4 years to experience this level of passion, skill, and drama. So we're keeping the momentum going by bringing the PHL World Cup finals to Ion's massive distribution platform, said Simpson. At Scripps, we believe women's sports deserve national stage, and together with our league partners, we're building one. We're proud to add the PWHL to Scripps Sports lineup. The PHL World Cup finals are built for this kind of stage, and their debut on national television in the US is another meaningful step in making our game easier to find and follow, said Asia, PHL Executive Vice President of Business Operations. Scripps Sports has shown true commitment to showing up for women's sports in a tangible way, and this partnership is another example of that in action. So that is just really, it's just incredible. It's just incredible. And looking at how the rest of the article, it's basically repeating what we did in the first one. Yeah, there we go. Right, I am really pleased with this announcement. Okay, so as you guys know, in the AHL, I know I don't like to bring up the men, but it's one of the rare times I have to do it. In the AHL, the moment you hit conference finals, so that's basically round 3, it's national broadcast all the way. It used to be that the first 2 rounds you would stay with your team's local network. So for me, with the San Jose Sharks, that is NBC Sports California. With the Wild, I'm not too sure what it is, because obviously their network has changed so many times. The Wild are one of the teams that originally were with Fox Sports, which then became the Bally Sports. I'm not too sure what it is now. Is it now FanDuel? Is it now FanDuel Network? I don't know. Anyway, it used to be the first 2 rounds you would stay with your local team's broadcast, and then from round 3 you would go on the national broadcast. So in America that used to be NBC, and in Canada it's Sportsnet. In Canada it's still Sportsnet, and Sportsnet is who I watch whenever ESPN these days gets the Stanley Cup finals, because I can't stand ESPN with a fiery passion. TNT's fine. I don't have a problem with TNT. I actually do quite like the TNT's panel. They're fine. ESPN, let's not go there. Unless you want to hear sea bombing. No, didn't think so. Let's not go there. Yeah, but since the ESPN, ABC, TNT deal, it's basically been, as soon as you hit round 2, you're on to the national broadcast. but the big final is always broadcast on the main national broadcasters. And I always think that is so important to have our sport put on these national broadcasts. Because more people are going to be watching than will on a regular broadcast. Because I thought, when you take it down on a national broadcast, a lot of people will probably be watching it for like the very first time. They're not used to what it is, but they're giving it a go, and they're watching it, and they're going to have that good experience. So, and this is another huge opportunity. Now, I don't know what the numbers were for that game in Detroit last week. I don't know what the numbers were. And what I've looked, actually, was it didn't really feel different. Now, that's because, obviously, I'm in the UK. I live in, I'm a broad-red Mancunian. We were, of course, watching it on the YouTube. So we didn't really notice the difference. It was still just your standard PWHL YouTube stream as normal, which was fine. But I'm imagining that's what Ion's also got as well, so you didn't really notice the difference. Whereas when you watch the HL on a national broadcast, oh boy, do you notice a big difference. Do you notice a great, big, massive, whopping difference. And oh, it just makes my blood boil. They don't still have that commentator who has a very squeaky voice who goes, "It's good!" They don't still have that voice tone, do they? Gosh, she got on my last nerves. Can't remember what her name was, but she worked alongside Cassie Pascal Campbell on in the broadcast booth. This was in the early days of the deal. This is back when the characters were still around. So you would have Cassie in the booth, and you'd have this other woman, who has a very screechy voice. So every time someone's called, it always like, "Oh, here we go." I forgot her name. That's how memorable she was. No, but whoever she was, she could do with learning from our wonderful broadcasters at the PWHL, because they know how to do broadcasting without making it irritating or with screeching voices. The male PWHL broadcasters, on the other hand, not so much. They also need to learn how to rein it in from time, boys. Rein it in. Remember, you're not the stars of this show, okay? But yeah, so the fact that we're not going to have the World Cup final on a national stage is absolutely amazing, because the last two World Cup finals have been absolutely epic. And I know what you're thinking. Hold on, he will say that. He's a Frost fan. He's won the World Cup for the last 2 years. I know. Take a sec. In fact, I need one as well. Take a sec. Know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking, boys and girls. I know what you're thinking. Okay, let's all calm, everyone. You're watching a Minnesota Frost show. What do you expect? We're almost at 250, guys. What do you expect? You should know by now what show this covers. Okay. I know what you're thinking. He would say that. He's supported the World Cup champions from day one. Of course he's going to say they were epic. But let me say to you this. Even if I was not a Frost supporter, and I supported World other inaugural 6 teams, I still would believe that the last 2 World Cup finals have been absolutely epic because of the way the narrative has gone. I mean, if we look at 2020, in 2024, if we look at the inaugural one in 2024 between PHL Minnesota and PHL Boston, nobody expected that to be the matchup. Nobody expected that to be the matchup going into the season. Especially how Boston had to really push that playoff spot quite late in the season. And we, of course, were in the World Cup, all 4. We were home and dry in Game 4. We weren't expected to go back to Stockholm for Game 5. Okay? And then last year, oh my god, you literally could not make last year up. And I can't wait for you guys to check out Dreamland Season 2. Okay. Obviously, that's going to drop on May 26th. 2026, so it might be after the World Cup Bars or during the World Cup Bars, who knows? Yeah, I can't wait for you guys to check out Season 2 of Dreamland, because you will see a complete difference to how we felt about last year's finals compared to how we were with the inaugural season finals. You could not have believed that, how every single game last year was a 2-1 result, and it was done in overtime. Crazy, right? So, yes, I can. Of course, I'm going to say they were epic. Obviously, my team ended up winning the day, but at the same time, we had to really work hard for those World Cups. We had to really, really, really work hard for them. It was not easy getting those World Cups in the bank. It really was not. Yeah. So, you've had 2 epic finals worthy of being on the national stage. And I'm really excited for whoever gets to be competing for that World Cup in May. I'm going to be so excited knowing that this is going to be on a national telly, and it's going to be so accessible for millions and millions and millions of households in the United States to be able to watch that at ease and have the potential to then potentially get more people interested, and then potentially then want to maybe check us out properly in season 4 next year. That is something really exciting. So I'm really excited for that. And of course, obviously, regardless who gets in those finals, we'll be watching regardless. Because obviously, also on the show, we do a playoff show every year where we run you through all bits from start to finish of every single series. Obviously, we've been really fortunate that the first 2 have been a Frost win, a Frost championship, so that's been fine. But you guys, a part of me is kind of ready to hand the World Cup over. Now, I know you're thinking, oh, shock horror. But a part of me is kind of prepared to, if needs be, hand the World Cup over. Of course, I would love to see the Frost, of course, win again in 2026. I know a lot of people online don't want that. But hey, don't hate the player, hate the game. Okay? Don't hate the player, hate the game, guys. It's not our fault that we're the state of hockey and we found a way to build a deep championship roster that is competing year in, year out. So as much as, of course, I would love my Frost to cement that dynasty, win 2026, I will have no problem being able to congratulate somebody else if that is the case. Because I know that we're not going to be World Cup champions every year. Okay? We're not going to be World Cup champions every year, I know. And what I think I'm really looking forward to is seeing what happens when the other teams do win. Because over these last 2 summers, we've seen what it's like when my team has won the World Cup. We've seen what the Frost can do. But there is a part of me that is also keen to see what other teams would do when they win the World Cup. Like, would they maybe try and do what we did this season and do a championship jersey? Of course, the execution of that did not go down well. And of course, as you will have seen on that episode we did when it got revealed, Pluto managed to come up with a better idea of how that could have been done than what was actually given to us. So while of course at the same time I want my Frost to still be competitive and holding on to that World Cup for as long as possible, I am prepared for that moment when, okay, we have to hand it over to somebody. But I always would prefer, if we're going to be dethroned, I would prefer to be dethroned in the playoffs rather than be that team that wins it one year and then gets knocked out the other year, like we saw in 2015 with Pluto Ladies LA Kings, who of course won it in 2014, and like how we're going to see it this year with the Florida Panthers, who obviously won the last 2 Stanley Cups, but of course are about to be eliminated from Stanley Cup playoffs, and probably already have been eliminated by the time this video gets published. And you know what I feel is that? Yes! 1 down and 1 to go. Stanley's down with a cat nap. Now where's me fly squatter to squash Thunderbug? Because I know about you, Eastern Conference. I'm getting sick of seeing a Florida team in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I'm on the West side. Okay? Step it up! Just, do you guys know when the last time a Florida team did not represent the East in the Stanley Cup Finals? Do you know when that last was? 2019. 2019 was the last time a Florida team did not go to the Stanley Cup Finals. I know, that feels like a lifetime now, doesn't it? Yeah! Yeah! Yeah, that's how long it's been. That's how long it's been. Yeah. So I kind of feel if we do get dethroned eventually, I'd rather it would be in the playoffs. So at least I can say, well, at least we had a chance to defend. Because you always want to at least have the chance to defend your crown, rather than having to be forced to sit on the golf course and watch the other teams fight for what could have still been yours. So for me, it will sting less if we lose in the playoffs, rather than having to be just eliminated before the playoffs. So it's going to be so exciting. Obviously, we are going to have another thrilling climax. Because obviously, we are recording this at the beginning of April. We're in the final few weeks of the season. It looks like we're going to have another thrilling finish to the end of the season. I know the Big 12 and Fleet have already clinched their spots. We are not too far away. And then, of course, it's the question of who gets that last spot. Basically, everyone since the trip, since I was in Minneapolis, everyone's been kind of saying, oh, the Fleet, Victoria and Frost are pretty much secure. And I'm like, have you guys learnt nothing? Have you guys learnt nothing? Do you remember what happened in Season 1 when we nearly crashed and burned? Do you guys remember nothing? So, come on. But we'll see. What happens. Yeah. So we've got a free finish that to come. Then obviously we'll have the semi-finals, which could, as always, throw up their own surprises. Because, let's face it, you do have to kind of feel sorry this year for the team who ends up having to pick their semi-final opponent. And it does look like that's going to be Boston. You do have to kind of feel sorry for the league champions this year, because every team who's in the playoff conversation, they're not an easy team to beat. They really aren't. Okay. So, it kind of feels like when we get the Final Four, when the Final Four are locked in, you do have to wonder, is the choice made for the number 1 seed? Are you gonna have to go with who's in number 4? Because it's kind of lose situation either way, you know? So, it is very interesting to see. I think for Boston, if Ottawa gets that 4th place spot, what do they do? Because Boston have not done well against Ottawa this season. The Charge have managed to find a way to beat the Fleet consistently. And then, the other option would be us. Do you really want to take us on? Yes, the old saying is to be the best, beat the best. But are you really feel lucky about that? You know, So, yeah. So, I think for Boston, they would probably love T.O. to get in, because they know they could just pick T.O. and would thrash T.O. an easy sweep. So, I think Boston Fleet fans are probably hoping that it's T.O. that gets the last spot, because they know they can just pick them and no problems. We'll see you on Script Sports in May. That would be their mindset. Plus, I don't think T.O. would do well in the playoff series again this year either. They did face somebody different, so yeah. So that's going to be interesting when we do get the Final Four locked in. It'll be interesting to see who is in the number 1 seed and what do they do in picking their final opponent. Because you look at it either way, it's not an easy pick this year. It's not an easy pick. I think if we do expand the playoffs and we get an extra round, it goes from 4 to 8. Maybe have the bottom 4 all be available to pick rather than just the last 2. Because that would then give you a bit more choice into thinking who you want to go with. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I I think we will do an episode in the summer where we talk about what we want to do about the World Cup playoffs. Because obviously, if we do get expansion next year, that might be the moment we have to officially expand the playoffs. I've got an idea of what I would like to do with that, so we'll do that in the summer. Because obviously by the summer, we'll have a more clear picture on if we have expanded or not. So we'll do that then. We've got a lot of summer content coming up for you guys, so you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be a busy time ahead. But honestly, I am so pleased with this news. Never did I think I would be happy for a national broadcast, because like I say, in the NHL, watching the Sharks on national telly has not been great. I've never been pleased with the coverage on national telly, so I haven't seen that much of the Wild on national telly yet to make a judgment about that yet, but honestly, but I just think this is going to be really good for the PHL to have the World Cup finals on national telly, making it more accessible for more people in the States to catch it. And I think a lot more people who will be watching that for the first time, they're going to want to be involved, they're going to want to get engaged, they're going to maybe give that a try, and maybe give us a chance in season 4, maybe a couple of games. So there's a lot of opportunities to come from having the World Cup finals this season go on national telly. And I do kind of think that maybe we have found that partner. I know a lot of people have been saying the last 3 seasons now, when are you going to get a national telly deal? Well, do you know what? I think this is it. So, I think this is it. We might do an episode on that in the summer. We'll see what happens. Because eventually we are going to need a permanent national telly deal. We're going to need that eventually. Okay, we are. As much as I disgruntle about national telly deals a lot, I do see the need for one, and I do see the value and importance of having one. So I do think eventually the PHL, especially if the league wants to then start making a profit, then, because that's another thing people are going to bang about, when are you going to start making money? And you know what I say? Fuck off, Dragons! It's not all about the money! Okay? It's not about that. Okay? It's not about that. It's about making... But it's about growing the women's game. That's what this is about. Okay? And giving more women a chance to play hockey full-time and professionally. That's what it's about. But I do eventually see and recognise that it's going to be a need to get a telly deal at some point. And even if you do get a telly deal, I will still keep fighting for the YouTube, because I think this is a brilliant way to help for your global fans like me. So, yeah. So I think we have found it, and I'm really excited to see how the World Cup finals are going to do on the national stage. That's going to be very exciting to see, and just absolutely brilliant. I think what we'll try and do is we'll leave a link to Script Sports in the description, so you can go. So that those of you who watch the States, I know a lot of you do watch the States. Oh yeah, I do check my analytics from time to time. Majority of my viewers are from the States, which is kind of good, because obviously this is a US sports league, so it makes sense. I'll try to put a link to Script Sports in the description below, so if you do with the States, you want to try and find out how you can get it, then you can get that. But yeah, but I think we're going to leave it there. It's been great as always. So excited. I'm really excited to see how the World Cup is going to do on a national broadcast. Very exciting. So, yeah. I actually can't believe it's almost here. Like, literally, I mean, us three, we knew this season was going to go quick, because obviously we don't have the World Championship break as normal. And the Olympics kind of felt like the World Championship break, because it was 3 weeks and we're straight back to it. So it has kind of gone too quickly. We need more games! We really do need to get more games. Especially if we're expanding at a more fast, rapid pace. So if we're going to add more teams in, then I'm sorry, we need to get more games. I need to do it now. Okay, 30 is not enough. 30 games in a regular season, it's just not enough. It's gone by too quickly, guys. It's gone by too quickly. We're we will be in the thick of the off season before you know it. It's gone too quick. But really looking forward to seeing how the Walker Pass will do on a national stage in May. So until next time, take care guys and